Hi, I welcome you all once again to my next lecture. I am Dr. Hariharan, Professor of Pharmaceutical Biotechnology. So today's lecture, what we are going to learn is about the vectors. So let's proceed with what we are going to learn in this session is that we are going to understand only the basics of vectors. So what is meant by a vector? One, two, second, what are the different types of vectors? And third, what are the key features a vector should carry and how the vectors is generally inserted into a host cell. So these are the four basic perspectives we are going to learn in today's lecture. So let us go one by one. So first thing is, what is a vector? So a vector is generally a carrier molecule which helps to deliver the foreign DNA into the host cell. So as the name itself, it implies vector is a carrier. In respective of our rDNA technology or gene cloning, we consider vector is a DNA carrier molecule which delivers into the host cell. So this vector should have certain characteristics that we will discuss later on. So next is what are the different types of vectors exist. So we can classify the different types of vectors on the basis of one, depending upon the purpose of our usage, and second is depending from the source where we are getting it. So the first classification, that is depending upon its purpose of usage, we can classify the vectors into two types. One is called cloning vector. That means in this what we are doing is we are inserting the foreign DNA, and after insertion we will amplify this DNA into the host cell to a maximum level, especially for the purpose of constructing a genomic library or do a DNA sequencing exercise. So we are not concerned with the expression of into a proteins. The second type is called as the expression vectors. In this case, the foreign DNA what we have cloned inside the vector should express into a protein. There we will use a expression vectors. So depending upon the purpose of our usage, we can classify vectors into two basic types. That is, one is called cloning vector and second is called the expression vector. Apart from this, we can classify vectors based upon the source from where we are getting the vectors. So based on this, we can classify the vectors into one, that is called as a plasmid. So plasmid is nothing but it is an extra chromosomal DNA from a bacteria. So plasmids are used as vectors which is actually has a source from a bacteria, a prokaryotic organism. Second is the bacteriophage or other viral vectors. Generally bacteriophage was the first phage virus vector which is used for carrying the foreign DNA. So bacteriophage is nothing but a virus which generally infects a bacteria. So thereby we can propagate the DNA, clone DNA and produce in large quantities. And third is called the cosmids. The cosmid is a chimeric of the both the thing, that is the plasmid and a phage vector. That is cosmid is an artificially constructed vector obtained from a plasmid and phage carrying both the characteristics. And the fourth one is since we need the insertion of foreign DNA in large size, so there was a need for construction of a larger vectors. There we started defining an artificial chromosomes. These are the four different types of vectors which is generally obtained from different sources. So I can tell once again that based on the source we can classify the vectors. One is a plasmid, two a bacteriophage, 3 a cosmid, and finally 4 is an artificial chromosomes. And next part is that what we are going to know that what should be the key characteristics or key features the vector should have so that it has an ability to carry the foreign DNA and it produce in large quantities. So if you see through the features of the vectors, whether the vectors obtained from natural, which is very less in quantity, less in numbers. Generally all the vectors currently what we are using is an engineered vectors. So all engineered vectors should carry the following three features. That is, one, it should carry an origin of replication, that is the vector can replicate on its own into multiple copies. Second, the region should contain restriction sites, otherwise I can call as multiple cloning sites or polylinkers, in which it allows the foreign DNA to get inserted and also helps in the identification. and third, it carries a selectable marker where we can find the cloned DNA into the host organism. So these three are the basic features a vector should contain. That is, the vector should contain an origin of replication, the restriction sites called as a multiple cloning site where we can insert the foreign DNA, and a selectable marker where we can identify the clone. So these are the three basic characteristics the vector should carry. For example, if I consider a vector which is a plasmid vector, I can consider PUC19, which is generally having a size of 2686 base pairs. So in this picture you can see there are three regions. One is called ORI. So ORI is called the origin of replication initiation, which is generally present in the bacterial plasmid vector, which can replicate on its own irrespective of the genomic DNA. So this vector can replicate on its own. This is the major feature what we need it. So it can produce our clones in large quantities. Second, it carries a region where it has been mentioned as a LAC-Z gene. So as you can see, the LAC-Z gene is a place where multiple cloning site has been inserted. So the multiple cloning site where you can see a series of enzymes, restriction enzymes has been given, just like ECOR1, SAMA1, BAMH1, XBA1. All these multiple cloning sites has been associated with another marker region we call as LAC-Z alpha, where helps in the identification that the vector carrying the foreign DNA or not. That's the LAC-Z gene carries the multiple cloning site. And the third one, as you can see, is the ampicillin resistant region. So ampicillin resistant region is called as a biomarker. I can call as the third feature, that is the marker region. So this is helpful in identification the host organism carrying the vector, that is the cloned vector or not. If it carrying the cloned vector, it will grow in the ampicillin medium. If it doesn't carrying the vector, it doesn't grow into the ampicillin medium. That means the vector should carry all these three characters. That is, one is the origin of replication initiation for the development of the self-replication of the vector. Second, it carries a multiple cloning site for the insertion of the foreign DNA, and third, it carries a marker region for the identification of the cloned vector. So next, let us see how the process of the insertion of the foreign DNA into a vector happens, and how we can identifying the cloned vector from the wild vector or a host organism which it doesn't carry any vector. For example, if you can see the process of insertion of the foreign DNA into a vector. So I have taken the same example at PUC19 vector. So which is a plasmid vector. In the LAC-Z gene, it carries the multiple cloning sites. So the multiple cloning sites can be restricted with one of the restriction enzyme. For example, I have restricted with an enzyme called ECOR1. So it cuts the restriction site especially at the sequence of GAA-TTC, as you can see from the picture. And the same restriction enzyme has been used for cutting the genomic DNA. So the donor DNA has been restricted with the same one. So it restricts the gene, especially where it finds the sequence GAAT, as you can see in the figure. So we have got the restricted DNA, and we also got the restricted vector. So once I add the enzyme DNA ligase, these ampicillin and the this restricted plasmid vector and the restricted donor vector will join together because of the complementary base pairing, because the ECOR1 produces the restriction enzyme which produces a sticky end. So the sticky end can be easily annealed together only with the help of a simple enzyme called the DNA ligase. So the DNA ligation happens, and after this one, the vector is inserted into the host organism, for example E. coli. So it is transformed into the E. coli, then it is grown in a minimal media. So the minimal media, what we call is that the petri dish carries all the nutrients Along with that, it also carries an antibiotic called ampicillin, because the ampicillin R is an gene present in the vector which produces the ampicillin resistance to the bacteria. Consider, I have taken DNA, that is a vector, and I have put the vector into the bacteria. In this case, the vector might be carrying the foreign DNA, or the vector might be not carrying the foreign DNA. So both the things has the ability to grow in the same minimal media. But now I have to identify which one is carrying the foreign DNA. As you can see in the picture, that we can see the two types of colonies. One is called a blue colony and another is the white colony. So you can see in the PCU18, the multiple cloning sites will be present in the LAC-Z gene. In the LAC-Z gene is a gene which is responsible for the breakdown of the lactose into lactose disaccharides into a monosaccharides. So if this one LAC-Z gene is intact, what it produces, it breaks down, and the media contains an X-gal, then it produces a blue colored colony. That means a vector which does not carrying the foreign DNA, the LAC-Z gene in the multiple cloning site will be intact, and in the presence of the minimal media along with ampicillin resistance and X-gal, it produces blue color colonies. If the foreign DNA has been inserted into the vector at the multiple cloning site at the LAC-Z gene, what happens is that this gene gets disturbed, and so it is no longer able to destroy the lactose, and it produces the blue coloration in presence of X-gal. So the colonies will be appear white. This is considered as a blue and white colonies. So in this you can see in the picture, the blue colonies have only vectors, whereas the white colonies will have the vectors carrying the foreign DNA. So in this way of identification, the white colonies has been isolated and has been cultivated in large quantity to produce the clone vectors in large quantities. So this is all about the basic introduction about what is meant by a vector. So in our future lectures, we will understand about the different types of vectors on individual basis. So we will study one by one what is a plasmid vector, what is a phage vector, cosmid vector, and artificial chromosome. So thank you very much for your continuous support. I wish you will continuously support that my lectures. Thank you.